And on today's show, The Power of Program, part 4 of this week's series on the advisor's pathway to freedom with Charter Life underwriter and creator of the Cotton Systems, Wayne Cotton. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician and Innsmouth. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Wayne.
Thank you, Steve.
Boy, this whole week I feel like I'm getting my mind reset. I'm thinking like I kind of remember that old movie Cool Hand Luke. He says you need to get your mind right. I think I'm getting my mind right now.
Yeah.
You talk about program, the power of program. In this segment, why don't you walk me through? This is your third principle here. This is a big one.
Each of these P's is worth 20% of the whole. And so you need to balance them and make sure that they're all working effectively. And we started with purpose, clarity of purpose, knowing what you want. Then we went to profile, knowing who to see, right? And when it comes to knowing who to see, the key is to know your best case scenario. That's the key process that you do in that segment, is to know your best case scenario, because that's a forensic assessment of your sweet spot. That's a real focal point on exactly where you do your best work within a reasonable period of time. You're masterful at that stage, right? At that play with that kind of a prospect situation. So you want to be seeing those people on a regular basis all the time. That's your new client acquisition. Sure, you got your current clients you're going to look after, but your new client acquisition needs to be focused on your best case scenario. So then we move into the program, which you just mentioned, and the program is what you deliver when you get there. So in other words, once you meet these people that fit your profile, what do you deliver to those people? Now, this is a really important one as well, because if you've narrowed your profile, you automatically narrow your program. Make sense? Your program is what's in your head, your computer, and your briefcase. It's all those things combined. So it's your knowledge, your know-how, your expertise, your understanding. It's your empathy. It's your ability to communicate well with people. And so if you narrow it down to your best case scenario and you know exactly what you're looking for, then it falls in line that your program is the same. That make sense? So you're doing the same things over and over and over again. Now, you're practicing the art of duplication. So when you're practicing art of duplication, using the same concepts and the same computerization stuff, you're using the same power phrases, the same stories, the same examples, like you become really masterful at what you do. Problem is, a lot of advisors, every situation is different, so they're here, there, everywhere, trying to put it all together. And it's ineffective, it's inefficient.
Most people are just not that extemporaneous. I mean, honestly, they need a track to run on. And once they figure out, if I'm hearing you correctly, this program, once I have it down, my examples are the same, the format is the same, my illustration format is the same. I'm using the same displays, so I have it down cold.
Yeah, absolutely. You become absolutely masterful at what you're doing. Your ratios go way up. Like in my situation, just determining my closing ratios on various aspects, or my conversion ratios in various aspects of the process. If you got your program down and you're dealing with somebody to fit your profile, my goodness, you get so much better at what you're doing. So it's like me in the speaking years. I mean, I've done a lot of speaking, right? And I have no problem speaking. I mean, that took me years to get that down, but I did. Now, ask me to MC a wedding and watch me fall apart. And the same thing goes with an advisor. When you figure out your area of specialty, what you're really good at, and I'm not talking about a product specialty, I'm talking about a profile specialty. I'm not talking about somebody who wants to go sell long-term care or critical illness or whatever. I'm talking about your profile, because with your profile, your program is everything you deliver to the people that fit that profile. So it's all the things that person might need that you're going to look after. Okay, so it's a planning trail situation. It's not just a product sale or transactional sale. It's a planning trail situation. That's what you're looking for. So it's everything you deliver to that person, and that's where you need to become really masterful, explain it properly so people really understand. And once you do that, all of a sudden the business is so much easier. You can do a lot more business a lot easier than you could before, because you understand your program and you got it down really well.
I think sometimes this kind of flies in the way of our traditional, we're doing a full-blown planning model. We do financial planning. It's where we have a big overarching canopy in the way we talk about it, how we talk to clients. Now we're talking about, wow, I'm actually managing my business to my client profile that I've discovered, which is in my wheelhouse where I want to play.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're saying this is where the production goes up. I keep thinking though, but everybody keeps telling us you need to be doing planning modules, and you need to be doing all these retirement, estate planning, long-term care modules, things of that nature.
You're right, but what I'm talking about is a planning package. Okay, that's different than a software program that does all this stuff. And that's fine if that fits in with your planning package with the people that fit your profile. What I'm talking about is having total clarity about your message. Like once you've done your fact finding, you understand what the situation is, you know for sure it fits your profile. then what is your message to those people? You need to make sure that the message is clear before you get down to the model and the mechanics. So it's kind of the 3M philosophy. I did that for the last 25 years of my career. And it's an amazing way to do business because you're far more organized. And it's not that you don't do planning, you do. Like in the end, I was in retirement tax and estate planning, dealing with the 65 to 70-year-old crowd. That was my profile, with a number of other factors as well. But doing retirement tax and estate planning. Now, it didn't look like a package to them, but it was a planning package. We dissect the present negatives, magnify the present negatives, communicate the message, get down to the model that we use to help our clients resolve that kind of an issue, and then we do the mechanics. The mechanics is where you do all the detailed stuff, right? Business is far easier. Here's the other thing, which is going to lead into our next subject, which is the word process. And that is that once you've got all this organized, you can offload and download and delegate a lot of aspects of your process so you do what you do best.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the process. And every time I hear somebody that speaks like this, Wayne, I keep thinking, he just said we're going to delegate it to somebody else, which most advisors equate into, my expense load just went up.
Sure.
We'll be right back after the break. It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back to our second segment. We're talking with Wayne Cotton. Wayne, we're talking about this whole idea of process that really helps our growth. Talk about the process that we're involved in this.
Remember I used the statement, if you got a problem, make it a procedure. It won't be a problem anymore. Well, it took me a while to get my head wrapped around that one, but Mike Lee Gerber talks about process in his books and so on, and I started to realize that I was just all over the map. I was everywhere. I was trying to be all things to all people, and I wasn't getting things accomplished, and I needed to accomplish a lot more, but I needed to do it in less time. I needed to look after my personal sanity and physical well-being, my relationships with the people I love, but I also needed to do a lot more business. So process is a big part of that. That word is absolutely huge. So there's many different processes in your business, and so it might be your marketing process, your client acquisition process, it might be your selling process, advice delivery process, it could be your computerization process and how you do all the mechanics that I talked about earlier. There can be many different processes in there. So the key is to figure out your processes from A to Z or A to Z, depending on which country you come from, right? You need to figure out what does that look like from one end to the other. And now sometimes you can buy a system that will handle steps 11 through 19. So all you need to do, somebody else spent millions of dollars developing that, so all you need to do is learn how to use it, right? Integrate it, align it with what you're doing. And so there'll be several things that you can just chunk into place, but there's still lots of other things. For example, let's say you got a problem with broken appointments. You're having too many broken appointments. And so when you're assessing your process and you're scanning it, you're looking for the soft spots, which by the way, you do every 90 days. Once you got your process put together, go run with it for 90 days. But you're constantly looking at the soft spots. So every 90 days, you want to remove those soft spots from your process, the things that aren't working as well as they could or should. You remove that, you put it under a magnifying glass, and you say, how can I convert this problem into a procedure? What can I do to make this work better? It might be something as simple as confirming appointments, where you put a little process in place that will resolve that issue, you put it back in the lineup, you run again for another 90 days. You might fix 3, 4, 5 of those every quarter. And so that's what you do with process.
Wayne, I want to touch right on what you just said. Too many broken appointments, and I want to manage this issue. But if you find a problem, like you said, you have to turn it into procedure. Do you think you have inherent gifting to turn a problem into procedure? Because I'm trying to think of my audience listening to us. Can I do that? I can identify. I'm a really good identifier on problems.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a very good person about making it a procedure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't, they don't think it through to get the process down. I'll give you another example. Dealing with the seniors crowd, and these people between the ages of 65 and 70 years old, and married, long-term marriages, adult kids, grandkids. Those are all a part of my profile. Lived in a certain area of our city, in excess of $500,000 of income-producing assets. If I went back in the field today, it might be $1.5 million or $5 million. I don't know. But a lot of things that relate to that profile. Well, here's what I found. I was having a major meeting with people, a strategy meeting. But sometimes people weren't totally with me in terms of what was going on, right? I mean, they knew what was going on, but they weren't accepting it that they should actually do that. So we'd have this major strategy meeting, and I'd try and get agreement in principle and all the rest. And I get agreement in principle, but then they'd sleep on it, right? So I discovered that if I made a phone call the next morning at 9 a.m. and I said, "How did you sleep last night?" I get one of two responses. The one response is, "I slept great. How'd you sleep?" "Oh, I slept great too. I guess this must have been a good meeting we had yesterday." "Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was great." Okay, I know everything's okay. But the other response is, "Oh man, I had a hard time going to sleep last night. I was wide awake at 4:30 this morning." And to which I respond and say, "Well, sounds to me like you might be concerned about some of these things we talked about yesterday." "Yes, as a matter of fact, I am." To which I would say, "Well, we don't want you to make any wrong decisions now, do we?" "Well, no, of course." "Then I tell you what, why don't you come on in again today? Let's sit down and review it, make sure everything is clear. Because if it isn't the right thing to do, let's get it stopped right now," which is music to their ears. All right? We found that we could conserve a lot more business that might have been a little too fast, or we didn't clarify all the questions or whatever. We found that we could conserve that business by having that phone call the next morning. That's an example of a problem into a procedure.
Well, and I think that's powerful, because actually they're saying I need to sleep on it, which is usually a delay tactic. Now it's turned into an actual reason to call and say, "How did you sleep last night?"
Absolutely.
So I'm either experiencing insomnia, or I had a great comfort because you brought me some security that I was looking for.
Right. Right.
Much of this is not mathematics. Much of this is really just psychological welfare.
It's fine tuning. Yeah.
Well, when I'm thinking about when you're looking at this, I mean, I'm thinking about how people are like, I just need to get to thousands of prospects a year. I just need to be banging the phones, hitting the newspaper, doing all these things. And you're really brushing all that aside on the basis of profiling.
To some degree. But after I learned about profiling, I went on into attraction marketing, which is doing everything in your power to make your phone ring, right? And I got good at that, attraction marketing. Man, I was doing radio shows and seminars, and I was doing tons of things. I had the city of Edmonton sending their retiring employees in, and the Teachers Association, and lots of government departments, Air Canada. I mean, I did a lot of work to get this wheel turning, and I got right into it deep. And I thought, well, I'm going beyond now. I'm going to the next level of marketing. I mean, this is the future, and this is where I need to go. I spent a ton of money, a ton of time, and at one point, I stopped to measure what I was doing. I mean, knowing me, you'd think you're measuring it all the time. Well, to some degree, but I stopped to really assess this. At the time, I was generating about 2,500 leads a year. And so I had this huge flow of people coming in my door. And I had to expand my office space, expand my staff, and I had to delegate certain aspects, so I only did what I could do best, right? And so I got 2,500 leads, give or take, in that range a year coming in my door. And then we decided that what we should do is we should filter them better. And so we started asking more questions on the phone, but then we started filtering people through a seminar door. And I built a thing called the Cotton Theater, sloping floors, theater seats, beautiful tapestries and technology, a great facility. And we really, filtered the people coming in that door, and we'd put 900 people a year in that door. So out of that big flow, we get 900 people a year coming in that door. And we thought we'd really qualified them really, really well. Now, they were the right people, right? Well, out of the 900 people, there was only 90 that actually fit my best case scenario. So there's a lot of cookie munchers and coffee sippers and plate lickers, and you know the story, right?
Sure.
All this stuff going on where people are looking at their information gatherers, right? But there's only 90. So in other words, only 10%, after all that work we did, only 10% of those people actually fit my best case scenario, where I did by far the vast majority of the work. Now, yes, I had a couple of licensed people on my team, salaried staff members, CLUs on my team, and they handled any of the transactions and whatever. And so, we're doing a lot of transactions, but my stuff, what I'm really looking for, my best case scenario though, only 90 fit that, and that's 45 couples. Now, do you think that I could have done things a lot simpler than what I was doing? Of course I could. And when I came to that realization, only 10% of them, after all this filtering, fit my profile, that's when I stopped attraction marketing. I went cold. I stopped attraction marketing completely. No more radio shows, no more seminars, no more, all the stuff I was doing. I completely stopped. And that's the year that I went from 6 to 9 times MDRT. That's the year that I went up by $500,000 of revenue. I didn't work 1 minute more. But you see, I went onwards to precision marketing, which is where you know exactly what you're looking for, back to profile again, and you figure out exactly how you get in front of those people. That's a big key right there. Huge, because I see a lot of advisors spending a lot of time, effort, and money. Attraction marketing is cool, it's fun, all social media, all the internet, all the websites, all the stuff that we can do. Yeah, it's really cool. I got to do that too. Well, you got to go back and say, what do I really want? What I want is an adequate flow of the right people. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for all these Janes and Joes and all these other people out there that are just looking for information. I'm looking for the right people for me. So that's when I got deep into attraction marketing. That's really what I teach today. I mean, I teach the differences between attraction marketing, desperation marketing, precision marketing, and so on. But that's where the focal point is on precision marketing. And by the way, people that want to learn more about precision marketing, they can go to precisionmarketingapproach.com. precisionmarketingapproach.com, because I do a 5-hour workshop, online workshop, split into 2.5-hour segments. And there's no charge for it. Like, they can get a lot of information in there, but they'll also learn about the systems and processes we teach as well. So precisionmarketingapproach.com, and they'll learn about the differences, the pros and cons, why they work, why they don't work, and whatever. So that's perhaps something for your followers to learn about in there.
Listen, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Just hop out to our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.